Welcome back to Beyond the Rabbit Hole. Tonight, we're stepping back not just into history, but into a forgotten prediction. A theory not whispered by UFO believers or government insiders, but written over a century ago by one of the founding fathers of science fiction. The year is 1893. Long before the War of the Worlds, before the time machine, a young H.G. Wells publishes an essay in the Pall Mall Gazette titled The Man of the Year Million. It's not a story. It's not about aliens or time travelers. It's something stranger. It's about us. Wells speculates on what humanity might look like in the far, far future. Not in 200 years, not in 2000, but in a million years of evolution. And what he describes sounds eerily familiar. According to Wells, the human of the future would be all mind. It would be a massive, enlarged head containing a vastly expanded brain. Limbs no longer necessary. With advancing technology doing all the work, arms and legs would shrink, atrophy, and eventually fade. The body becomes minimal, efficient, streamlined. Facial features reduced, smaller mouths, smaller noses. The body needs less food, less effort to survive. And the eyes, huge, alert, dominant. Because even in the far future, vision remains essential for the gathering of information and for the understanding of the world. Now pause. Think about it. Large head, small mouth, tiny nose, frail body, big black eyes. He wasn't writing about aliens, but he just described a gray. It's one of the most iconic depictions in modern pop culture. The gray alien, a silent, cerebral, emotionless being. And here it is, published in 1893 as a vision of our own future. Not an invader, not an extraterrestrial, instead a descendant. And here's the twist. What if our modern archetype of the gray alien, these so-called visitors, didn't come from UFO sightings at all? What if those images were seeded into our collective imagination over time, slowly shaped by forgotten fiction, speculative science, and hidden memories? What if we didn't invent the grays, but remembered them? Glimpses of what we might become, echoed back through art, story, and myth, like breadcrumbs from a future we're already walking toward. Maybe the reason they don't speak is because they no longer need language. Maybe they communicate through symbols, dreams, or frequencies too subtle for our current perception. Maybe that cold, expressionless face isn't devoid of emotion, but reflects a state of being that has transcended it entirely. Or maybe they've simply forgotten what it means to be human. Wells didn't say they'd come from the stars. He said they'd come from us as a product of evolution, technology, and the abandonment of physical struggle. And if that's true, what are we really seeing when we talk about grays? What if the beings in our dreams, our abduction accounts, our government leak documents, are not visitors at all? What if they are time travelers? Or even worse, what if they're echoes, reflections of our possible future? Beings birthed from our own trajectory, circling back to observe the past that created them. Wells may not have known it, but he tapped into a mythic pattern. The merging of science, evolution, and the ancient fear that we might lose ourselves in our pursuit of knowledge. The grays may not be aliens. They may be warnings or reminders. And maybe, just maybe, the reason they don't speak is because we already know what they would say. Stay curious, stay aware, and remember, not everything that visits from beyond the stars came from another world. We'll see you next time, Beyond the Rabbit Hole.